Do you remember going back for that corner?
No.
It's difficult to see your partner lifeless in the pitch.
There are things that you are able to put away from your memories, but this moment will stay forever.
Is he alive? Is he alive? There's something horrendous happened here because it's giving me goosebumps all about it.
Pues una desesperación por no tener respuesta y ver que pasa el tiempo y pasa y no hay más que un Raúl Jiménez, mi hijo, tirado en el suelo.
I knew immediately that he was seriously injured.
The panic, we were so afraid, and then you start listening, Code Red, and that start putting in your head, Code Red. And I just ask, what's Code Red? Say, what's Code Red? Code Red.
Vamos.
I receive a lot of messages, a lot of support, a lot of love. Sometimes I go out with my dogs, and the people outside just wishing me to be well soon, and that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. All that support, all that love that they gave to me, it feels really amazing. I never thought about finish my career or stop playing. I was always confident I was gonna return. Mexico City is incredible. I used to live also in Tepeji del Rio, where I was born. My first 5 years, I think. Then we changed to Mexico City, and it was all incredible because in Tepeji, I had my dad's family, and in Mexico City, we had my mom's family.
Era vaguito cuando vivimos en Tepeji del Río. Bueno, pues ahí se la vivía en la calle desde temprano. Me tocaban a la puerta, ¿no va a salir el chilango? Y en México, pues con la familia siempre quería entrenar con todos, con la comadre, con el abuelo, con la abuela, con el tío, con el primo, con el papá, con los hermanos. Con todos quería jugar.
When I was young, even I was not walking yet, but I was playing with some toy, and they throw on my back a ball, and I just, with my eyes, saw it, and straight to the ball. So since that moment, I think the football were in me.
Prácticamente podríamos decir que nació con el balón increíble porque pues ya es como un instinto, no sé. Y sí, jugando con otros, tenía juguetes de otros, le gustaba la lucha también, pero el balón lo veía y ya era cosa de no soltarlo.
I went to my dad's matches. He never played professional, but he liked to play. I go there and I remember some photos of me angry because I can't play with the big guys.
Izquierda lazo individual, corre hacia el fondo, Luis Gianni, servicio al fondo, buscando el remate, viene el tiro, ¡gol! ¡Gol del América!
Raul had obviously been very successful in Mexico as a young player and made a massive move to Spain in 2014 with Atletico Madrid. But it didn't quite work out for him at Atletico. Without starting too many games, it was difficult to him to pick up momentum and score a lot of goals. So I think his record there was something like 1 in 27 in the league, and it wasn't long. In fact, it was only 12 months before he moved on to Benfica in Portugal, which was a much better fit for him. He's been a bit of a nearly man up to this point. He's been a perennial substitute at Benfica. He's sort of the second striker at Mexico behind Javier Hernandez. So in order for him to become the main man, he's perhaps had to move down a level a bit to a newly promoted club, which is where Wolves come in.
We look back to his career. He didn't have quite what he had in Wolves, so to play again and again and again. And that was the only part that was missing in his game, in his football. The moment that he started playing again and again, over and over again, everything that we knew that was there came to the pitch.
perfected and honed that role as the central pivotal striker who does everything under Nuno.
I remember matches that we look and he made a run of 50 meters, and then when he was coming back, his socks was down. You look at him and say, this guy is so tired, so tired. But then just look at his face and he's saying with his eyes, just let me be, let me be. So that gives you the faith and the confidence that any moment he can score a goal.
Boris Johnson will address the nation from Downing Street tonight, where he's expected to announce further measures to deal with the coronavirus pandemic.
We must move to lockdown rules now.
It was a normal day. My baby, dogs, a lot of stuff. Just watching the game and waiting him to come back home.
Y claro, recuerdo bien ese día porque toda la vida, antes del juego hablo con Raúl, que es con quien estaba, y empezamos a ver el fútbol, empezamos a ver el juego, siempre deseándole lo mejor, ¿no? Y que siempre que Dios lo proteja.
Of the trip, I don't remember at all. I remember everything else.
I remember the game starting, we were playing really well. I remember us moving the ball really well, we were creating chances, we were doing some really good stuff, and we used to set up on the corner, so Raul would always be in the front space. So the front space was at the front of the 6-yard box, but in the middle of it.
His position was crucial for us, crucial. So we rely a lot on his ability to deal with that first ball on the first post.
Do you remember going back for that corner?
No. The things that I remember is that we arrived to the stadium and I get out to see the pitch, and when I get back to the dressing room, I can't remember anything else.
There are things that you are able to put away from your memories, but this moment will stay forever. And then the noise, that will stay. It was good. Yeah.
The ball comes in and obviously there's a collision.
Oh, there's a frightful clash of heads there as I think David Luiz collided in to Raul Jimenez.
And as he drops, I obviously come down and he's on the floor, so I think I was kind of the first one there because I was just behind him, I was literally a yard away from him. And obviously as he laid down, he's on his side. So you know something's really, really bad at this point. His eyes were shut and he had a little bit of blood pouring from his nose. And I always remember from when I was a kid, anything like this happens, trying to keep someone on his side. And that was all that was really going through my head. Make sure you keep him on his side, because I could see he wasn't here, he was gone, he was out.
Lack of movement from Raul Jimenez, though he will be in the very best of hands with the Doc, Matt Perry.
You know, I don't think there's anybody in the stadium didn't have the same sense that something awful had happened, and I think we were pretty much straight on. I knew immediately that he was seriously injured. For a start, Raul never goes down.
Y sí, pasó el tiempo, seguía tendido, entraron las asistencias y fueron minutos angustiantes, porque muchas veces vemos que le pegan a alguien, pero decimos, a ver quién fue, pero esta vez fue clarito que era Raúl, ¿no?
Pues prendo la tele y veo de pronto ya a mi hijo tendido en el campo y veo que no se levanta, pasa el tiempo, entonces empiezo a desesperarme, entro en angustia, empiezo a recibir llamadas y bueno, pues una desesperación por no tener respuesta y ver que pasa el tiempo y pasa y no hay más que un Raúl Jiménez, mi hijo, tirado en el suelo.
Huge concern for the Mexican.
Yo no estaba en casa, no estaba viendo el partido y de pronto me llega un mensaje de un amigo de mi hermano de toda la vida y me pone, oye, Miri, ¿cómo está Raúl? Yo de momento dije, ah, caray, pues, ¿qué Raúl, no? Mi papá, Raúl Andrés, Raúl Antonio, dije, ¿quién? Entonces me meto a Twitter y de pronto empiezo a ver Raúl Jiménez inconsciente, que no sé qué. Y pues me saqué de onda, le marco a mi mamá, no me contesta. me empezó a entrar mucha angustia y como yo no estaba en casa dije, no, me tengo que ir a mi casa. Llego y encuentro a mi mamá llorando. Entonces el verla llorando me movió mucho porque no sabíamos nada.
It's difficult to see your partner lifeless in the pitch. I remember I closed my eyes and I just said, please wake up, please wake up. Just move a little bit, just to know you're alive.
Looks like they're preparing to move him now onto the stretcher, just bracing him and putting some straps over his legs. Messages were being passed to Nuno. They do have radio connections to be able to speak to the bench.
The panic. We were so afraid, and then you start listening code red, and that start putting in your head code red. And I just ask, what's code red? I say, what's code red? Code red. And you start thinking, is he alive? What's code red? What does it mean? And you see everybody going, and I remember I just tried to get away, but it was impossible. It was impossible.
There's a sort of ABCD, which is part of the training. Ollie, who's a physiotherapist, will always, head injury, will always go into what we call MILS, which is manual inline stabilisation.
Ollie Leaper, the head first team physio out there as well.
We diagnosed on the pitch that he'd had a fractured skull, and you don't know the effect of that on the brain, and he was seriously unwell.
Is he alive? Is he alive? Is he alive? Has something horrendous happened here? Because it's giving me goosebumps talking about it, really, because it was a tough thing to happen in front of you, but especially to one of your good friends who you spend probably more time with than your own family.
It was difficult. I mean, at the time, we didn't know if we were gonna see him again, really.
If you've had somebody with a serious head injury, the time to table, the time from the injury to the operating theatre is absolutely decisive. So you have to make sure that you go to a hospital that's got the right facilities. That's all prepared as well. You think, okay, when do you decide that? That is decided before the game. We know the neurosurgical centre we go to, every single ground we play at. We know the ambulance team, we know time to the hospital, all of that is on every single emergency action plan for every ground we go to.
In my mind, they saved his life. And the way they did it, so professional, so accurate, so well trained. This is the kind of people that you want around you to take care of you.
The doctor called me and he told me he was on his way to the hospital. I just told him I need to go. And he said yes. So the doctor knew that I had a baby, 4 months old. And when he had said yes, come to the hospital, my world went down because I knew something was wrong.
Sí, fue muy angustiante, pero ya una vez que tuvimos comunicación con Dani, pero ella estaba en Wolverhampton, o sea, también no había mucho que hacer, estaba desesperada. Me acuerdo que me dijo, señor, ¿qué hago? ¿Qué hacemos? Le dije, calma, primero mantener la calma porque pues no podemos hacer mucho y menos estresándonos, ¿no? Y ya me dijo que le habían hablado, que estaba en lo mismo, que sabía lo mismo, que le iban a operar.
She had a huge amount to deal with, and so she came down with Aria. We paced the corridors a bit, waiting for the news and talking about, anything. And then we were ushered into a room to talk to the surgeon.
There were a lot of things in my mind. I feel really, really bad because I wanted to see him before the surgery. You never knew what can happen. So I saw him just 1 minute. Due to COVID, I couldn't stay with him much time. And that was very difficult.
Everybody is concerned, but we know we have 100% sure that he's okay. The energy that the team after that had was for him, and we won that much. It was good.
And for me, the event obviously wasn't just the injury, it's all the way through to him basically coming out of theatre and knowing that the surgeon was happy with the outcome.
We were afraid of what was going to happen, if everything was going to be back to normality for him, for his career, for us as a family.
You know, it's a huge relief to know that, first of all, he's going to live.
Subirme a un avión esa misma noche, poder viajar. Y bueno, pues nos fueron diciendo, mi nuera Dani, señora, no hay manera, ahorita está hospitalizado, no la van a dejar entrar, vamos a ver cómo evoluciona.
We got in at whatever time it was in the morning, I went to bed, got up, had some breakfast, spoke to the hospital, said that he was fine. So we agreed that we'd go back in a car, and I remember sitting in the front and Daniela in the back and the phone ringing, and it was Raul. So I didn't talk to him, but I listened to him because he was chatting to Daniela, trying to work out what had happened.
It was a relief, 100%. I mean, I knew it was going to be a long process, but he was fine, he was alive, and he was going to be able to see his daughter again. He was a little bit lost, he didn't remember anything. He just asked me, what happened, what am I doing here? Why do I have all these tubes in my body? I needed him to know how much we love him, that everything was going to be fine, that his daughter was waiting for him to get better.
One of the things I was aware of was that people forget these conversations. You forget the questions you've asked. So 10 minutes later, the phone rang again, and I said to Daniela after the first conversation, if he calls you again, don't be surprised if he asks exactly the same questions. And he must have phoned 4 or 5 times on the way up the motorway.
I just remember getting up to go to the toilet or getting up to do some tests with the doctors. So it was difficult, lonely. I was there in the hospital without doing nothing, and I can't be with them. Maybe I'm telling you this because I don't really remember that it was 5 days there.
Having my baby, and I just told her, like, Dad is coming home. That was the most important thing for me.
The advice of the doctor was clear. As much calm and quiet, no disturbance. What he needs is to be by himself with his family.
Lo primero que le dije a mi hijo es que lo amaba, que era un bendecido de estar con vida y que me alegraba tenerlo de vuelta. Y bueno, pues comenzamos un proceso de estar con él, lo puse a tejer, lo puse a leer, lo puse a hacer pues cosas que le podían ayudar a su motricidad y creo que funcionó.
The next step for him was to understand what happened that day, because it was in the head, and maybe he just felt like headache, but he can move normally, and he needed to understand what happened, because he was excited to play again the next day, and that was not going to be possible.
The fact that, you know, at the peak of his powers and in the prime of his career, he's had so many months sort of taken away through no fault of his own, and that must be really hard for him, you know, to process.
And to begin with, we started on very, very simple things, you know, just walking, going upstairs, you know, simple things like that. First few weeks, it was just a matter of becoming the person again, rather than any concerns about football.
Cuando mi mamá fue para allá al principio y que me contaba cómo lo veía, yo sí decía, híjole, porque mi mamá un día me habló llorando, no, es que mi hijo, o sea, muy angustiada, pues yo digo, no entiendo, ella es como mamá, me imagino que lo veía todavía muchísimo más, pues lo vive yo creo que de una manera más intensa. Entonces cuando me platicaba yo nada más decía, por favor, que pueda volver a jugar, porque no nada más estuvo en riesgo su carrera, o sea, fue su vida la que estaba en riesgo.
It came unexpectedly the first time that we saw Raul. It was about 3 weeks after the injury, and sort of spine tingling to see him back and to see him smiling and to see him talking. At that moment that you knew it was going to be okay.
We knew that he was okay, but when you see it, and you see it smiling, and immediately I remember he come to me and said, I'm ready to go. I say, take your time. We had a walk, And then his recovery started, and he started really well.
I think we were warming up at the time, and obviously seeing him come out, I think it just put a smile on everyone's face. Just to see him walking, just to see him towards the boys, just to see him back on the pitch, on the training pitch, it gave us a massive boost. I always remember that training that day was bouncing. There was a bounce in training. There was something right with seeing Raul Jiménez getting there.
Walking around the pitch was an assessment. How does he walk? How far can he walk? Does he get tired? Does he feel dizzy? What's his near sight, far sight, and the differences between those?
Everybody was so happy to have him around, so happy. So happy.
It was a global story. You know, everybody was desperately keen to know how he was. Is he going to play again?
They said in the best of the cases, you are going to be back in 3 months, but it's almost impossible.
The first concern was, let's take care of him. Let's not rush anything. Even if the team needs him, of course, the team needs it. But never in our minds we consider any kind of risk. Never, ever.
Fairly early on, he told me that he was thinking he was going to play football.
It's tricky because after brain injury, there are a lot of assessments that you or I might struggle with. But if Raul's struggling with them, then you've got a problem. I can get him back so that he passes every single possible test that the neurologist would want him to do. But if he can't move his body in 3 dimensions and coordinate that with a ball that's coming in from the wing at speed and from another direction, also in 3 dimensions, and deal with whoever's trying to close him down, if he can't do that, then he's not Raul the footballer. He's still Raul the man, but you know, he hasn't recovered his extraordinary skills.
Any sportsman is going to have a perception of how good they would be at doing something that's related to their sport. So we stayed away from football, but tried to utilise all the different body systems that he'd need to play football. We tried to do a range of things that would challenge him in the same way he learnt the skills when he played games. You have fun, and when you do that, you're going to try harder because you want to win the game. So
they were exercises that we'd never seen before. And then obviously as time went on, could do more and more things in the training ground. We play a lot of head tennis. It was funny because he was allowed to obviously play head tennis, but he had to wear this massive helmet. So obviously when he heads the ball, this massive helmet was like having a shot. Do you know what I mean? So the lads were going mad saying he can't play tennis anymore. So there was obviously different things and all these protocols he had to adhere to. But seeing his progress and seeing his improvements every week was massive for us moving forward, without a doubt.
So I was just being in the gym first, then my own outside, training apart. Then when I get the permission to join them, it was really good. It was not normal because the doctors and Nuno told them, okay, he's joining us, but you can't touch him.
That was special because the squad realized, everybody, that we had to be really careful in training sessions with him. So I was curious that he was the best player in the training session because nobody squeezed him and he scored from all over the place. But how they help him, not allowed him the right feeling, the right spaces to him to play football again.
For our own selfish point of view, to hear he could join back in with us was just incredible. Honestly, it was incredible to sit down and know that we had our world-class striker. It was a breath of fresh air. It was something that we just felt we needed. It was kind of like, we're all right now. Do you know what I mean? We're okay. And I sound a bit daft saying that, really, and I shouldn't really say things like that, but that's the impact he has within our football clubs.
Until you see him in positions where he is challenging other elite athletes, you can't know.
Whenever any footballer takes time out of the game for a prolonged spell, everybody knows the hours they have to put into the gym, the hours they have to put in on the training ground. We know sort of that comes naturally to Raul. You know, he's such a hard worker, he's so diligent. It's a professional squad, and I think he epitomises that pretty much more than anybody.
It's satisfying to see somebody improving, seeing somebody getting back to their love, what gives them joy, what their identity is. And for Raul, it was like someone switching the light switches back on.
I had not ever doubted that he was going back because he's very strong and he was very determined to do it. Very determined.
I want to be the same, but at the same time, I want to show more, that I can do more. I'm gonna come back stronger and even better.
So strong, very calm, confident that he was going to play again. He had no doubt at all. I'm so proud of him.
There's a lot of talk of like fate in football and how things aren't coincidences, and I think the fact that it's Nuno back at Molineux as well for the first time, the journey that they've been on together and that they'll be reunited at Molineux. First game of the season is always a special one at home, but I think people are more bothered about just seeing Raul back in action, to be honest, for the first time. They embrace him, they take him to their heart and they love him. And for them to watch from their homes him go through this, for him to be reunited with them again in the place where they formed this close bond and this close relationship, you know, he scores the goals and they sing his name. To have that back is going to be amazing.
Hello, hello. ¿Cómo están, chamacos? Hola, Aria. Baby Arias.
Hola, muñequita, besito. ¡Mua!
Hola, Dani. Hola, Aria. Y hola, hijito precioso.
¿Cómo les fue? ¿Qué tal?
Bien, aquí terminando, cansadito. Ellas también, me imagino.
Bueno, los queremos mucho, qué bueno verlos.
Y nos dio mucho gusto que ya jugaras otra vez en tu estadio, hermano.
Sí, ya hacía falta, ya hacía falta.
Se sintió el
se sintió, sí, al principio fue la que más cantaron, la que más sonó y estuvo padre.
Gracias a Dios, ahí vamos, ahí vamos.
Sí. ¿Y aquella ya se va?
Ya camina, mi niña. Ahora sí ya camina. Qué bueno verlos juntos, se ven hermosos.
Gracias.
Los queremos mucho.
Besitos.
Gracias, nosotros también a ustedes. Les mandamos un abrazo y qué bueno que lo vieron.
Órale.
Bye.